welcome to episode 98. We're going to be looking at our home office setup in a minute, but we just wanted to have a little moment. We're very excited. The borders are opening up. That's our big news this week. We're really, really excited for that because that means we've got friends coming back to see us in New Zealand, and we can also get a trip to the UK to see my parents at some point, hopefully soon.
Pretty good, isn't it? It's been so long, a couple of years since we've got a number of friends overseas who haven't been able to get back into New Zealand, and now they're because of the situation with COVID here, and they're dropping all the quarantine and everything. So pretty much our friends are free to come home, which is awesome news, isn't it?
Yeah.
So looking forward to seeing some people we haven't for a long time. So it's great.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've got a bit to do with our home office, a bit of tidy up here before we can have friends around.
Yeah, well, we're in the transition point at the minute of moving offices. Yeah. We've kind of outgrown this room, so we're moving into a bigger, lighter area room.
Yeah, more I guess more laid out and specific for an office rather than this room which we've been using, which has been fine, but
it's just not working for us anymore. So
and I think it's probably an important point for today's topic, that we you need to be flexible with your home office environment and be able to realize that you've outgrown it and have space to move into if you need to.
Yeah, because there's no right way or wrong way to set up your office. I mean, we were just doing some research for this podcast and found some people using their ironing boards
as a
desk. Very interesting use of space. Very
well, I guess you're multitasking and
if
do
you've
the
not got the
ironing
space,
at the same time.
But the thing, that's the thing, isn't it? It's what works for you. It's not like you have to do this or you have to do that, is it? It's about creating a space that you can work in and that is good for you. Some people like crowdy, messy work areas and kind of thrive off that. Whereas personally, I'd probably go for something slightly more minimal with some
definitely more organized.
More organized, minimal. Yeah. But then that's the way we work.
Yeah. So we wanted to touch on sort of 5 hacks for creating a best home office setup today. So what exactly?
So that if you don't really know what kind of works for you, these are just kind of like general tips on ways of creating a sort of a good environment that might work.
So basically what you want to be doing is setting up your office in a healthy way, a productive way, and
it's usable. It's got to be usable.
Well, it's got to be ergonomic. So it's got to be, you don't want to go through a day and then find that you've got a really sore back or you've got really sore arms or sore hands or whatever because you haven't
invest in a good chair.
Yeah, because you haven't set your office up in the right way. So we'll go through some hacks now, and you just take these examples as a bit of advice for when you're setting up your own home office. So this week we're just talking more about the actual office itself, and next week we're going to touch on the tech side of your home office. So the first one I wanted to touch on was location. So the location of your office, and we kind of mean what part of your house, or maybe it's in your garage or wherever. The things with location are quite important, because one of the things is you don't want a dark, dingy corner. So you want a certain amount of light. You want some light to come in, and because that keeps you fresh. It doesn't, keeps your attention span, and
light
keeps
and airy.
Yeah, light and airy. So airy is a good point. You want to have good airflow. You don't want to get this into a stagnant room. So make sure you've got the ability for opening windows.
Being too warm makes you tired.
Yeah.
If you're too hot.
So you want to be able to
sleepy.
Yeah, you want to be able to get fresh air as well. So temperature and fresh air is an important thing. So make sure you've got ability to get that sort of fresh air into your office space.
And a good view.
You want to have a good view. So
although not a view that's too good, because you don't want to be distracted by it either.
Well, that's true.
I do find myself, I've got such a gorgeous view out of this window. I can see the sea. It's beautiful. And I do often find myself gazing out of the window.
And hence why we're moving offices.
Yeah, I don't think my view is going to be as good.
No, but I think it's an important point. You do want to have some view, because if you're just enclosed in a four-walled box, it's just hard to be able to, one, give your eyes a rest when you take your eyes off a monitor and look in the distance through a window or whatever. That's really important. But also just being connected with the outside world and not being stuck in your own little box is an important thing. The other main thing with location is quiet. You want to not necessarily have the space quiet all the time, but have the ability for the space to be quiet. So
somewhere you could perhaps open up or close down.
So if you've got kids and you've put your office in a place which is next to their room or in a corridor or whatever, where they're racing up and down, maybe that's not the best way to stay focused. Or at least have an area where, if you can't get that quiet space, have an area where you can go when you do need to do that real sort of concentration time. So the second hack that we want to touch on is your desk. So with desks, there's a number of options, but they're quite important to get right. And as you talked about, I don't think an ironing board is probably the ideal desk.
Well, not for me. But
I suppose it's adjustable in terms of height.
Well, it's adjustable in terms of your height,
and it's
minimal. You can't clutter it with lots of stuff.
Although I can't imagine my screen sitting too well on it.
No, I even if I've just got a laptop on my desk, I like a big roomy desk.
Yeah,
just so you can space around you. That's my personal.
The other thing,
I would never get a small desk.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is you don't want to be sitting necessarily all the time. Like these standing desks are really popular now. So it might be one of those things where you can actually buy a desk which sits at a sitting level, and then you can adjust it up. And you can get little motors that you can click a button and it'll raise up. So then you can stand at your desk for a while. And that sort of combination, I think, is quite popular.
Oh, well, I can see why someone's using an ironing board then, because I expect they're probably quite expensive. These adjustable desks.
They are, well, they're not cheap yet, but they are good. Like a friend of ours has got one. So, he sort of goes between sitting and standing throughout the day just to, I guess, so you don't get that sort of sore back or you're not in one prone position the whole time. So have a think about how you can do that. It doesn't need to be motorized.
Yeah, you could trial it on an ironing board first, couldn't you, just to see if investing that money is worthwhile?
Yeah, I suppose you could, yeah. So the other thing is chair. Think about your chair, what sort of chair you're going to sit in.
Definitely.
You generally want to have an armrest on it so you can sort of put your elbows on when you're working on a keyboard. I mean, generally that sort of minimalist sort of look for your desk is good, because then it's nice and tidy. And these days, paper is.
But if you need storage, get storage. Don't end up like going for too minimal.
You don't want clutter,
and then ending up with a load of clutter everywhere.
Yeah.
So.
You want to have the ability to store stuff when you need to, but mainly off your desk. So it could be a thing that you just keep your desk environment for, say, non-papered. And a lot of the stuff we're doing now is on screen anyway. So finding we're using less and less of the printer and paper. So that's
good for the environment.
Good option. Yep. One of the things you can do if you want to look for desk setups is have a look on Pinterest. There's a heap of different desk setups, and we've actually got a link that we're referring to before with the ironing board example, and that we'll put in the show notes.
It's quite a good website to have a little look at.
They've got a heap of different desk layouts, haven't they? Some quite cool ones, and they're actually different situations and different locations.
Yeah, they're all people from who work remotely for a company.
Yeah,
and just how they work differently.
Yeah. A heap of different examples, actually. So really worth looking.
And just what works for them, just showing it's really personal.
Yeah. So have a look in the show notes for that link. We'll put that in there. So the third hack we want to talk about is surroundings. What are the surroundings of your office? So making your space comfortable. So we're talking art, we're talking, like you touched on before, a comfortable temperature. So you don't want your office too hot and you don't want your office too cold. If you've got air conditioning, then that's ideal because you can just set it at a certain temp.
Yeah.
Opening windows good. But you definitely don't want to be sitting there sweltering away or freezing. So you want to make sure that you set your environment up in a way that it's productive for work.
I think colours are really important.
Definitely.
You said about art on the wall. Well, thinking about the colours in the art. And thinking about the colours on the walls themselves. I mean, if you've got a lot of things that are going on the walls, perhaps keep your walls plain.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
if you've got a lot of colour in art, in some of the artwork you've got, don't then overload it with colour on the wall as well.
Yeah,
keep that
because that
quite
can
plain.
get quite messy with your brain as well. Like too much stuff going on.
Yeah,
you want it
really,
to be relaxing.
Yeah, sort of muted more colours. You know, calmer. Those sort of
those earthy colours. Sort of beiges and browns and greens, and rather than sort of really dramatic pops and striking colours.
Yeah, kind of nudes. And,
yeah,
and then pop your colour in with, you know, your various art.
Yeah.
Photographs or whatever you've got on the wall. Yeah,
so that's a real personal choice though. So set it up like you might not love art, or you might like photography or whatever. You know, whatever tickles your fancy. Set it up around that.
Something that you look at and it makes you feel calm. You know, when you look at it, you feel calm and relaxed. You don't feel kind of
you want to create a nice environment to sit in and be in, because you're going to be in the space quite a bit. So that's the important thing. So one of the things is set it up well, and don't scrimp and save either. Like, spend some money on your office. If you're going to be there that long, you know, for each day or whatever, you want it to be a really nice, you know, environment.
But on the other hand, I don't know if I totally agree with you there. Maybe with some of the tech stuff and some of the chairs and the desk, but I think you can make a space really, really nice without having to spend a lot of money.
Yeah, you can. I guess spend effort is probably a better way of saying. So you can go and buy a whole heap of stuff for quite cheap, but you've actually spent some effort in doing that. So don't just set your office up with nothing on the walls and it's just a plain space. Spend some effort in
because actually it doesn't cost a lot.
No.
You know, there's a shop in New Zealand called Kmart, and they have not the best art and homeware stuff necessarily in terms of some of the quality, but it's actually really reasonable, and you can get something that actually looks decent on the wall, or little, you know, knickknacks to put around the place. And actually, do you know what? Unless you got really, really close and like look, you know, test the quality of it, the perfect looks nice, looks fine.
Yeah. So I mean, there's different options for that sort of thing. Just think smart about it, but put some effort in, I suppose. So the fourth hack we want to touch on is plants, and we've pulled this one out as a standalone thing because they're really important. They help soften the space. You know, they bring in a pop of color. They bring in some nature. Plants are really sort of relaxing, and you know, and they really help to soften down that space. I just love them. I love plants. You know,
we've got them pretty much in every room there.
Yeah, we do, and we could have more. You know, we're real fans of plants.
Well, me only recently, really. I mean, I've never had in the past. When I was in the UK, I just never sort of bothered them because I was working all day every day. Not at home, they'd die and I'd forget to water them. Whereas Blair, he's very good at
I'm the water king.
Keeping on top of that. So but as I said, you know, if you think you can't have plants because you're not going to be you can't remember to water them or whatever. There's some
pretty good looking fake plants these days.
There are.
Yeah,
so
it's not like it used to be.
Don't feel funny about going for a fake one.
I've been to friends' places and I've looked at plants and I've gone to myself, is that real? Like, they're so real looking. They've got dead leaves and things, which are, you know, meant to look real, and I couldn't pick the difference with some of them. It was
exactly.
So there's definitely options there. And
the kind of hanging plants are good, especially if you've got like a tall set of shelves. You need to put a hanging plant at the top because then they sort of trails down.
We've got a few of those. So I think the fifth and last hack that we wanted to talk about is, you know, with your office, you want to set up boundaries. You want to set up, you know, hours and breaks and routine. And so this is more of a behavioral sort of thing. So, you know, you want to treat it like you would if you were working for someone where you get breaks. You want to make sure you take breaks, even though you're working at home. You also want to have boundaries. So boundaries, we're talking about family, friends, and all the rest of it, kids and things. You want to set boundaries and routine that these are your work hours. If you need focus time, you don't want to be interrupted, then you need to have that sort of understanding with your family, and they need to understand that from you as well, because otherwise you're just not going to get any work done. But also you also need to make sure you take those breaks, because otherwise the work that you're doing sometimes isn't that productive. So try and set up your own routine when you're working from home. and that way you can just, you're giving yourself the best start. So that's kind of our 5 hacks for setting up your home office. Remember to have a look on Pinterest. There's heaps of ideas and stuff on, creating great home office setups.
And we'll show you what we do, because we're in the transition bit at the minute. We will keep you updated on how new office goes. And
I think we should probably take some photos of the chaos here at the minute. Ooh. And also we'll do a few progress photos as we set up the new office and some finished products, so you guys can see what we've done. So next week we'll talk about home office tech, and so that's again really important for your home office. That's your computers, your microphones, your cameras, all that sort of stuff we'll touch on next week. That'll sort of complete that home office setup for you guys.
Yeah, did we talk about lighting?
Lighting we didn't touch on.
We'll do that next time then.
Good option. Yeah, we'll talk about that in the tech. That's good thought. So yeah, look, if you're watching this on YouTube, give it a thumbs up, make a comment, and remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're not watching us on YouTube, the link is in the show notes. Go there, have a look. You might like to actually see us rather than just hear us, or not. But anyway, give it a go. All of the stuff is in the show notes. And that's all for episode 98. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
See you. Bye.